Most people are going to click away from this video and to try to find another YouTube video to try to improve themselves. And if that's you, click away, find another silly YouTube video, and realize that you're still in the same spot. But if that's not you, and if you want to stick around, I will show you exactly why you've been in that same spot and how to make that change starting today. And if we just met, my name is Brandon Smith, former U.S. Marine, now community owner that helps young creators escape the doom scrolling cycle and reclaim their focus. And with that being said, let's get into the video. So this is something that most people aren't willing to discuss about self-improvement and productivity. And it's that most people consume these self-improvement videos like it's pornography, otherwise known as productivity porn. You want to hear the advice of the D1 athletes, the multi-millionaire entrepreneurs, the Jocko Willinks, the Alex Hermosis, the David Goggins, and yet you're no further than where you started. In fact, in my belief, you're on the decline. You have tricked yourself into thinking that consuming all of this content is going to make you better. When you start learning, I'm going to put this in quotations, when you start learning, or should I say consuming, you experience these levels of dopamine, which plays a significant role in our internal reward system. So when you have this pleasurable experience of learning, feeling like you're progressing in life just because you're consuming all this information, all you're doing is rewarding the behavior of continued consumption of self-improvement. And then you convince yourself that all you need to do to improve is to sit in front of a 6-inch screen, such as your phone, or in front of a computer monitor to make improvements in your life. And this feels like a form of productivity, but it's more so a form of productive procrastination. And that's it. How many people do you see in the comments of a YouTube video saying, "This video has changed my life," or "This is incredible value"? I'm sure you've seen a lot of them. You might have been one of those commenters. But they validate the video the moment they consume it, but rarely do anything to actually take action on what they watch. They think it changes their life, but will go back to the next YouTube video just to feed themselves more information and progress. And only 1% of them will truly take action. And sometimes they're the ones sitting in silence, the ones that consume, then apply what they've learned, and then just shut up and get things done. But I'm also here to admit I've been part of the 99% of people who just consumed and never took action. So I've been in your shoes. I know what that's like. And I've been running in this hamster wheel of consuming harder than last time, stealing the catchphrase from Greg Doucette, and didn't understand why I couldn't make any progress. And it was because I was being rewarded for this repeated behavior of consuming more and more online and just realizing that I'm still stuck. When I first started consuming content from Alex Hermosi, for example, I started about 1.5 years ago when I first discovered him. I was blown away with how much knowledge he had to share, and I was surprised like all this value was for free. Yet I never did much of anything about it. I just kept watching his videos, thinking I was doing something right, but in hindsight, I was doing no better than the people who haven't heard a word from him. And it was because I never took action of what he was sharing, despite his advice of changing behavior, taking action, executing, and doing the work. And I've been in this stage for well over a year, and I'm still far from where I want to be. But as of this year, I've been taking a lot more action towards my short and long-term goals. Building a business, growing somewhat of an audience online, running and lifting more weights, doing all these things, the things that are required for me to get to my destination. And it was all because I decided to shut off that excess noise and got to work. But now I want to show you exactly the practical side of how you can improve. Because I don't want this to be not only educational, but practical. Something that you can apply immediately as you consume this. Because I don't want anyone here to have to just consume. I want them to apply. I want you to apply. And I'll show you exactly how you can start learning more effectively, consuming less, and executing more towards your goals starting now. All right, so the first step is to start the project. Here's the harsh truth. There's no point in consuming more content if you don't have a reason to consume it. This is where we start the project. And now what's a project, you might ask? It can be anything you want it to be. It could be starting that business, becoming healthier, building your body, building your relationships, knowing how to code, learning a skill, learning AI, learning something and applying it into your life. That's the project. And it can be whatever you want. It can be whatever you define. This will set us in a better direction towards our our lives, right? So as you are consuming this video, as I'm speaking, I want you to define that project yourself. And before we go further, pause the video, shut down the noise, sit with your own thoughts, and write down that one thing, just one thing, that you want to start. And then once you figure that out, unpause when you have written that down. Have you written it? All right. You're back to this video. Good. Let's move on. All right. So now we are in Cortex, which I use this for my writing and my note taking, capturing ideas, generating ideas. And if you are unfamiliar with Cortex, then I will show you a little bit more about what it's about. But I'm going to also show you this template that I have that breaks down my life plan and how I plan to get to my short and long term goals. And this is based on the project that we have outlined. So for me, I want to build a business, and this is how I break it down. And we'll start with our motivation, reframing our mind. So you could see this more as an anti-vision and a vision, and I combine them both. So we want to find out what we want in life and what we don't want. So if you think about pain and pleasure, right? You want to have both things at your advantage because it's much easier to find a pain to run away from than just to chase something or pursue something. So if you have both working in your favor, then you're much more likely to get to your goals and have them be a consistent reminder. So for me, what do I not want in life? This will be my anti-vision. And it'll be a miserable job that forces me to work 8+ hours a day doing something that I hate is most that I hate is unfulfilling, a fixed mindset, not willing to seek more opportunities and experiences, and a weak body that cannot lift heavy, run fast, or take care of everyday tasks. So these are my top three anti-visions, something that I want to run away from. So whatever that is for you, figure that anti-vision for yourself. Try to think a little bit about your anti-vision. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if there is a pain that you're trying to run away from, or even in your current situation, if your current situation is something that you want to run away from, then jot it down into your anti-vision. And I will include this template if you want to use this for yourself. And also, we're going to just figure out our vision. So what do you want out of life? So this is not just the pain that you want away from. This is something that you want to chase. And for me, living rich in faith, money, time, and experiences, being the top 1% of health, both in mind and body, being able to work 2 to 4 hours a day on my business so that I could rest, have fun, take care of family, and spend time with my girlfriend, hopefully future wife. And um, that's that's my vision right now. And what that is for you, once again, like you did with the anti-vision, break down your vision of what you want in life. So if it's anything similar to what I want, then that's fine, but don't Try not to be a copycat. Like try to think for yourself of what you want in life. So now that we've taken care of that, we're going to go into clarity. This is where we reverse engineer our short and long term goals. All right, so I could break this down into 10-year goals, 1-year goals, and 3-month goals. So you could break it down however you like. I just want to see my goals being broken down into relatively long term goals, something that I could see within the next few months, time horizon, something that is achievable for me, and something that I feel like I could achieve, but it sits outside of me for now. But within a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, then I can potentially get closer to that if I do the action items that I will show you in a minute. But for me, $5 million a year in annual recurring revenue, and then have a self-sustaining home, stay with my girlfriend, hopefully future wife. That's a personal thing for me, and being able to run at least one 100-mile ultra marathon. It's more so on my bucket list that I want to achieve because I do love endurance and I do love to run. So that's mine. So the 1 year goal for me, $100,000 a year monthly or annual recurring revenue, and that's my top priority. Build my school community to 1,000 free members and run/walk 1,000 miles plus achieve my first marathon. 3 month goals, a little bit smaller, $3,000 a month monthly or annual recurring revenue, top priority, and then 200 free school community members. And I'll show you my school community if you are interested, but that's not the focus right now with this video. This will help you. And also, we're going to figure out what skills and knowledge do I need to acquire. So for me, I would say my top 5 skills are copywriting, marketing, sales, systems, and AI. And that could be something different for you depending on what your goals are. So if you define the project, there might be certain skills that you need to learn for yourself. If you want to learn the guitar, and then what skills and knowledge do you need to acquire? Learn how to play the guitar, something like that. So it could be very different for you. If you're starting a business, then I would say the top 3 here. It could be different, but I'd say learning copywriting, marketing, and sales would be a great start. For me, I like to go for a little bit further and learn more about AI and systems that can leverage operations and general repetitive tasks that feel monotonous and something that I don't have to do myself manually. Then we want to figure out what distractions are standing in your way. And for mine, it would be shiny object syndrome, social media, and contradicting advice and information overload. So these are my top 3 distractions that have been standing in my way, and I'm making improvements to not have that happen to me. It could be different for you. You could have different distractions, but if these are somewhat similar, you could write those down. Again, just think about what distractions you currently have in your surroundings, in your environment, in your day-to-day life that have always been pulling you away from your goals. They could be as raw and unfiltered as you can. I could probably do a little bit better in figuring out what other distractions stand in my way, but I know these are my top 3. But try to figure out those distractions for yourself and work towards eliminating some of those distractions along the way. So we're going to go into our weekly reviews now. So this is more so the inputs that we do throughout the day and throughout the week, and that gets us closer to our short and long-term goals. So being able to reverse engineer our long-term goals, such as our 10-year goals, our 1-year goals, and our 3-month goals, then we need to define our actions that get us closer to where we want to go. So for me, I'm going to show you what I do for this weekly review. So after this recording, I'm in March week 3, and I reflect slightly a little bit on what went well last week. I don't really go too far into this, though. I'm on the Threads platform for my main social media presence. So I have got 33 new followers on Threads. So it's a decent milestone. But what didn't go well, I've reflected on what went well and what didn't go well. 0 conversions in my free community and a lack of community engagement. that happens. I'm in the beginning stages of building out my community, so that happens, but there's something I can improve on. And I'll be transparent as hell to show you that this happens, right? But it's something that I'll improve on. Something that I do is a gratitude journaling, something I'm grateful for, and it's my ability to be creative and write, and my health and well-being. It's something that I'm always grateful for every day. And I do break down weekly goals, so hitting 50 new followers on Threads, hit 10 new community members on School, and then schedule at least one member for an onboarding call. So that's my ideal goals, and then I break down them into certain tasks that I need to take care of to get there further. So for me, today is Friday as of this recording, and I still need to get these all done. I'm recording this in the morning right now, so I'll be taking care of these throughout the day. And as you can see, I took care of some of these as well. Made sure I took care of those daily tasks throughout this week. So now I'm gonna do it on Friday. So so it can depend on whatever context you have for your project that we've laid out earlier in this video. So if that looks different for you, if that's building a business or learning guitar or learning the piano or learning how to code, then figuring out those action items might be different for you. And for me personally, I consider these as my non-negotiables. So for me to not just build a business, but to build up my endurance and my athleticism for running, then I like to say walk/run at least 5,000 steps, and then write 3 social posts throughout the day for Threads, and engage with 20 small/big accounts on Threads, and then write 1 community post in my community. I consider these my non-negotiables, so anything else I plan to do beyond that is extra. So figure out those action items they could do that is a non-negotiable is really good to track. So now that we've defined these things, now we're going to be using an AI prompt that can actually rip apart our entire life plans and then give us a more strategic advice to give us more clarity. So this is the prompt that we're going to be using. So this works best with AI or Cortex because you can actually connect this document. And I'm going to actually show you real quick. And I'm going to start. Yep, just ignore these. And I have my life plan connected right here. And then I'm going to be copying this strategic advisor AI prompt. So acts as my personal strategic advisor with the following context. You have the IQ of 180, you're brutally honest and direct, you've built multi-billion-dollar companies, etc. Your mission is to identify critical gaps holding me back, design specific action steps or action plans to close the gaps, push me beyond my comfort zone, call out blind spots, etc. So you could probably read it from here. You could probably see how it could rip your whole life plan apart. So we're going to be throwing it right there. I'm going to be connecting that document, and it's just going to rip it all apart. So this gives me a harsh truth at the beginning. Big aspirations, but your execution is diluted across many areas, chasing shiny objects, like I mentioned in the distractions, instead of relentlessly focusing on the few things that truly move the needle. So it gives me an action plan, ruthless prioritization, identify one thing based on your 1 year goals. What is one thing that by doing makes everything else easier and unnecessary? And yeah, it just gives me these action plans, and it can look different for you. Identifies prioritization, focus, community engagement for me, time auditing, mindset adjustments, and then by the end of it, it says your assignment by tomorrow. Clearly define your one thing and identify 3 specific actions you will take this week to move the needle on that one thing. And you can do this whenever you like. You can do this right away. You can make this your strategic advisor throughout the day. So if you want to write this down by the next day, you can feed the AI your certain action items or whatever it assigns. So with this strategic advisor, I would only suggest using this if you do not have a mentor as well, just to clarify. If you do have a mentor to help you towards your long-term goals, then focus on the roadmap that they give you. If they're a good mentor, at least this strategic advisor is really meant for people that do not have a mentor for themselves, that can't afford to acquire a mentor depending on where they're at. And yeah, this works very well if you need something for free or very low cost. So for me to use Cortex AI for this, it only charges maybe $10-12 a month to have this available for me. So not, and I think that price is worth it. But you can also use this with ChatGPT. You could use this with Claude. You could use this with any other AI prompt. So if you don't want to use Cortex, then whatever you've written down, and you can connect that with this AI prompt, and then just include your life plan from there. However you want to use it, it's very helpful in trying to get more clarity towards your goals. So I hope you enjoyed this video, but not in the terms of consuming the content. I want you to apply what you've learned from this point forward, not just for this video as well. I want you to start applying what you learn from here on out, because there's no point in consuming any of these videos as self-improvement videos, all the tutorials and the podcasts, without applying something with it. There's no point in consuming all of this. It's just information overload that we don't need in our brains. And it's something that we must train ourselves to do. This is a behavior that we need to get ourselves out of and reinforce the behavior of taking action, executing. So this is the importance of this video. If you take anything from this video, it is to apply what you learn. Apply, apply, apply. Execute, execute, execute. So I will include everything in the description below. I will include the template for Cortex. I'll also have an affiliate link for Cortex as well if you are interested in using the app made by Dan Ko and his team. Awesome developers, awesome team that have been making this all happen. And I'm truly grateful for what they've all done. So credits to them. So I'll include the link in the description below. And also, if you want to check out my school community called Mental Momentum, where I help creators and solopreneurs break free from online distraction, doom scrolling, and save them time. So if that's interesting to you, join my free communities below, and we'll get right to work. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see more videos like this. I would like to upload more YouTube content like this, so stay tuned. And also, if you want to connect on social media, I'm on Threads. And you could also send me a DM on Instagram if you want to connect further. Have a good one. Peace.